Hello, everyone. Welcome to the third episode of Artist Talk, where I sit down with my friends and musicians and talk about their life in music, projects that we've done together, and what lies ahead for them. This week, in the third episode, we talked to West Taylor. West is a musician from Columbus, Ohio. He originally came into my world as a drummer, but I soon learned he's a very talented player who performs on many instruments like guitar and even writes and sings his own songs. I brought him on originally to help produce a single a couple of years back in 2020, and I enjoyed that process so much with Weston that I invited him to co-produce my third album, Past Life View, which comes out September 16. And we sat down today and talked about his beginnings in music, how we got to know each other, and the process of recording my third album together. We even get to listen to a track from the album called Hold On, which was so much fun to go back and just remember the process of recording that song with Weston. It was really a treat. If you're enjoying this channel, please like this video, hit the subscribe button, and if you click that little bell icon, you'll get notifications on your phone for when I post new videos to the channel. Without further ado, I present to you my Artist Talk with West Taylor. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great.
This has been really fun to talk to some people about. Like, having it actually behind you is just it's a lot more fun to talk about than while you're wrestling with it or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, you have that free, you can just like let go of it now and be like, well, it's done.
Yeah,
The creative part of it's done. Now it's time to play it out and let people hear it.
the rehearsing and the recording is work for sure, but that's like the work for me. Whereas now I need to like make all of that time worthwhile by trying to get ears and stuff on it. So tell like who you are, how you got started in music, and what you do now.
Well, I'm Wes Taylor. I play mostly country music, but I like to do everything. I like to be a part of anything. And that just comes with friends, and that comes with you, of course. I'd started playing in high school with the band Antioch with my brother Nathan, and that was my first experience going out and playing bars and playing venues and stuff, opening up for people. I believe you were there with a show I did with Daniel Myers at Shrunken Head.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever saw you play.
Yeah, we were just backing him up just as his band. And oh, I was trying to get a gig in Nashville. That's what it was. I had asked Lindsay Jordan, who was emceeing this Dolly Parton tribute show that I had played, if she had any video of me playing. And she was like, nope, but you can join my band. She was looking for a drummer. And you had met Lindsay Jordan very early on when she came to town from West Virginia. So
Mhm.
there, and you were in a band with Daniel. So there was like this weird kind of triangle happening that I didn't know about. And so you hit me up out of the blue asking if I wanted to work on a demo.
I said, so tell me about your drummer, Weston. What's like the deal with him? How does that work? How are you enjoying it? And she's like, I love playing with him. He's changed everything about what I do, and I couldn't recommend him enough. So that's when I reached out to do Traveler, which is what we were
Okay.
talking about when I came over
Yeah.
to your studio.
And I was really looking for new friends. I was looking for more people to work with, and it was great timing. And I felt like we hit it off. I think we did like 2 hours just like talking about music before we even started recording.
We just kind of started riffing on music and what we liked and what we listened to from the jump.
Yeah, for hours. We've played out of state together at this point, worked on a couple records together. You're helping produce my album.
And that's bonkers too, because you still feel like a recent addition to my circle of friends and musicians, but it
Hmm.
was years ago now.
There's a couple of years there that were strange, but I mean, I got to give a lot of credit to her. Really, yeah, really put in the work and like made me a better player for sure.
And with her, you've played so many different instruments. Does that confuse you at all about where your allegiances or your strengths lie?
I like to be used where applied, like where I can apply myself. Um,
Utility.
yeah, utility. I kind of yeah. For a long time, I only saw myself as a utility person, and so it's been a transition of me becoming more of a front man or playing my own stuff now. Um, I learned an awful lot though, just being a utility man. I've always found myself playing with the vocalist, whether it was as a drummer or as a bass player or a guitar player. The thing I listen to the most is the vocals.
Yeah, and I think getting into past life view and your role on that, and I think that what we're saying now speaks a lot to that because I knew I wanted you to be involved, and I asked you to come on to co-produce with me as just an ear, and I actually didn't know what facility you would play more than that at the time I asked you. And then because of COVID and canceling the recording, one day I remember, I don't know, I don't remember the day, but I remember clearly like, oh, Weston can do so much that he and I could go in there and virtually do all of it together, just mano a mano. So let's talk a little bit about those sessions. So like I asked you to kind of come in and produce, and then suddenly you're kind of I asked you to play drums and to do some more. So how did that sit with you? How did that feel going into those sessions?
I had a wonderful time with these sessions.
There was so much
Yeah,
unknown, I didn't know
there
really
was.
what we were going to do together.
Yeah. But that's what I love about it because I trusted myself enough and I trusted you enough to be prepared because you're so prepared. You're a very prepared person. You have an image of it going into it with your Excel spreadsheets and which I love because I'm so disorganized sometimes. But I looked at it kind of as, he wanted me to come in because he wants my opinions on things or the way I play drums. And I just trusted that we were gonna make it work in a couple days. I felt like I knew the songs well enough, and you had these interesting structures that pushed me a little bit. I mean, I a little bit, quite a bit. I remember being uh, a little tired from work coming into these. It
Hmm.
was just it was very meditational, and which is maybe a little odd to say, but it was.
Well, there's something that happened psychologically where it was just two, I have plenty of pictures of it that Ashley took where I'm looking back and it's just the two of us in a room.
Hmm.
And I think I had like a click, like a scratch vocal track, or we had a scratch vocal track in our ears. But there's something that happens there where there's this weird relaxation and then sometimes retensioning with new songs or when you're changing things. And then you have to ease back into each other and you're in a space and like there's no escaping that tension and release process because it's all being recorded and this is the time that we're doing it, so there's this immediacy to it all that we're doing together, and it was kind of meditative. I think you're right.
Yeah, and it's like, the clock is ticking, like you said, and there's a part of you as a musician that says, "Oh, I want to try to, well, I want to do my best, but I also kind of want to go for it sometimes and be a little ridiculous or try to impress you, or that play off of each
Yeah,
other, do live that you can do in the studio too.
and that's
It's worth the
that's
time.
the
It's worth the chance."
feeling that you brought. Like you bring this spirited improvisational sense of fun to both the studio and the live stage that I wanted because I had surrounded myself with all of my preparation that I knew it was that you were joking about earlier, which does help, but it
Yeah.
also can suck some of the life and the feeling out of things where rather than playing to the moment, you're playing to the rehearsal that you did.
That was my intention. It was to make the record feel as natural as possible. Like we had conversations about it making feel like a band, making the album breathe a little bit and have more
Mm-hmm.
dynamics. And how do we do that? And Brandon is just such a killer engineer. He was able to capture a lot of things that we talked about for days.
Some of our favorite records are those kinds of records where it's maybe not perfect, but you can feel whatever they're feeling. It's so quirky and fun. They give a character.
Yeah, and this album is
Yeah.
full of that. It's full of a lot of different drum beats, a lot of different interesting fills.
Inconsistencies.
Yeah, and your escaping really glues everything together. Which we talked about.
Speaking to kind of the wild moments, we could talk about a bunch of songs, but you said you wanted to talk about Hold On.
Yeah, that was one on later reviews of the album of you sending me the files that stuck out to me because I remembered like flashbacks came back of tracking that and playing the drums on that song. Also, I remember you talking about the imagery of it and the waves, and it just connected a lot to me with you as being East Coast. I had a thing for a long time, like we can talk about Springsteen a little bit, I guess. But I had never imagined Springsteen being a beach guy. I had never imagined him just as an Ohioan. For some reason, I always pictured him being a little bit more landlocked. But that's a big
Like
part of,
industrial.
yeah. And for whatever reason, I didn't connect that in my head. And that's a big part of being on the East Coast. I mean, you're on the Atlantic. You're
Yeah.
surrounded by that air and that music, and that just seemed like a song to me that captured that part of you.
Mm.
I had a lot of fun trying to get in that headspace of because you go out into the mountains and those are different people. Those are different. You're surrounded by something so epic like the ocean or like the mountains. You get different feelings out of that type of music.
And I think you're right. It's really intuitive. That is what that song is for me. It's an imagistic return to that, both a general location, but also a very specific moment and
Right.
experience in that location. Okay, so I've got it queued up here. Is there any part of the song that you want to focus on? Because I wasn't sure what you wanted to look at specifically.
We could just scrub through it if you want. Maybe I
Yeah,
don't really have a specific thing in mind.
yeah, let's do it.
With your head undone, and shit, you could be lying in your bed, can't feel your legs, nobody to help. What is he gonna do? Anything they ask you, riding in the backseat, hoping that the front drives to the place that you just came from.
I love that cut time feel when it comes in. It's kind of like
You had such
I
a
want to jump.
great demo recording of that drum part that I tried to stay true as much to that as possible. Even the mistakes you had with the double hi-hat thing.
Did it? Yeah, that
Did it,
thing. I
did
remember
it,
that.
yeah, the feel of the song really came out.
That was weird. Yeah, I forgot about that part. Okay, I'm gonna try to find the bridge because this is my favorite bridge on the record.
Hold on, hold on, hold on, and they wanna see you gone.
Yeah,
Okay,
it sounds great.
things that are standing out to you.
Something I love that you added was that 12 string. I think it could have been easy just to add a 6 string strumming or even a shaker maybe. something filling that space. But the 12 string performance that you did in that it makes sense. Like, oh, of course you would have that. Like,
That's Brandon's call. We
ah,
were
yeah.
we had it was your 12-string guitar. We
Hmm.
had it out for Bad View, I think.
Yeah, the Tom
Which
Petty.
yeah, because I knew I wanted a petty feel, so I went with a 12-string. And I think we had already tracked the rhythm part for Hold On. And he's like, "Hey, we're already in there for Bad View. Why don't you try putting something with a 12-string while we're there? It's already mic'd up on Hold On." And I wasn't thinking that at all. I was thinking like Fendery reverb guitars,
Yeah,
6-string guitars.
it's a great call. It really cuts the song up frequency wise. And that's how man, going into it, like wanting to find that space. Like how did our favorite records do that? I think we nailed it there.
How do our favorite records do what?
Like they're able to have all these sounds. They're able to have these parts that sound confident and on purpose. Yet it doesn't sound overbearing, and it's not a lot to listen to. Like that's very relaxing to listen to. You know,
Yeah, I think there's something about allowing time for those creative possibilities to come out. And then if you're in there long enough in that meditative process, you relax into it. You think, well, what if we put a 12? You begin to explore a little bit.
yeah. I think we had a bar set really high.
I'm excited for it to come out, and like you said, it does feel like it kind of wears a lot of my influences and things I've wanted to do for a long time out on my sleeve. And you're a huge part. I mean, your sense of rhythm and time feel is just a marker. It's a staple to this record. You have this joy in your playing that brings so much feeling into the rhythm that people want to move. And I think even in that song, which is kind of a slow song, I couldn't sit still. Tell me about what's next for you. What are you working on?
Something that's been nice to see come to light now is Louis. It's Carly Fratianne's project. I went in there. It was before we started recording this album, and I laid down some drum tracks for her, and that was a different feel. It was a pop record, and it was something I didn't really have any experience in. That actually helped a lot going into your record. Any studio work helps the next studio work is kind of how
Yeah.
we're really close to be finished with Dan Myers' new album. Working with him on this has been another type of experience. Like I did his first album. I played drums on his first album, and now it's just me and him. And I don't even play drums on it, which has been kind of liberating. So I got to do a lot of the mixing. I got to do a lot of arranging and more of a production role, even. And I've seen him now go through this last 6 months. It's not an angry record at all, but it is a heavy record at times, but it's also a
Mm.
bluegrass record at times. It's a very
Yeah.
traditional country record, and it's very outlaw, but I've enjoyed doing that because that's another completely different thing.
Yeah. Dan shoots for a unique sound all the time. He's always trying to blend these things to find it. You got to kind of follow your own intuition in that process.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that's tough. That's some work.
So hard.
Uh, and I'm working on it now myself with my own stuff, and you've been helping me with production, but also saying like this is good. Like keep on this track, keep with it. I get texts every so often. How are you doing? How's it going?
Yeah.
And that stuff helps. It really does. Now it's like facing the mirror and being like, oh, this is just you now.
It's really cool and fun to be a part of you stepping sort of into the light, into the sort of stage light of the microphone a little bit as you as the main engine rather than being a part of someone else's project.
Yeah, it's a completely different mindset for me. It's one that I'm really enjoying, but it's taken a lot of time to find, my voice or what style comes naturally, or because this record was done 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
But I kept writing, and as I kept writing, I was like, I'm writing better songs. Like, they're better songs, I think. I really do. And they reflect more of who I am in a more natural, confident way. Like,
There's something about that I think I hear in your writing, or it's like I guess it's honesty.
and that's what I appreciate about you being a producer role in this, is that you're able to see the whole thing. You know me a different way than I know myself, so
No, I'm excited for your record, and
yeah.
all right, homie, I'm gonna jet.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a good trip, and I saw you have some shows coming up there, so.
Yeah, I have one tomorrow. That's another thing. I got one
Mhm.
tomorrow as well. So it's a good week.
Yeah, busy week.
Yeah,
That's
it's
good.
good stuff.
Sweet. See you, buddy.
Later, homie.
They wanna see you gone.